Or what's up, guys? So thank you for clicking on the video. So we are doing another episode, a new week of Night Drive Live. Alrighty, so we have come a long way, obviously, and it's something that I wanted to get into, and I changed the times here a little bit. Sorry, I was distracted. I had something going on down there. But today on the show, we got lots to talk about, folks. Lots to talk about, and let me get right to it. So what is this? Mid-Engine mania, that's what it is. We've got these renderings coming out. People want a mid-engine Mustang, so we're going to talk about that. We are also, if my screen would work, we are going to talk about Sebastian Vettel. He's talking about walking away from Ferrari, and where's he going to go? Nobody knows, but Lewis Hamilton says when he leaves F1, he's going to be a rapper. You may recognize this, or you may not. This is the Checker cab. Obviously, there were tons of these in this country many years ago, and there's a company that wants to sell them new, but SEMA had to sue the NHTSA in order for them to do so. I'm going to talk about that. SEMA's more than a car show, folks. So this is my photo. This is a photo I took in 2010 at the LA Auto Show. So why is this very photo making headlines just 8 hours ago? We're going to talk about that, the Lotus Esprit. And so then we're going to compare these two things. This is the X6M, this is the X5M. And so we're going to talk about the two of these, what makes them different, why you may want one beast of an SUV if you got $118,000 to spare. But beyond that, folks, then we're going to go to story time. Story time is going to have a lot of things in it you're really going to want to hear, but I'm going to go through the news pretty quick. We're going to end at story time and kind of have a conversation. So if you're with me, feel free to chat, but we're going to touch on some very important things, and we might have to talk about the virus just for a second, you know what I mean? But either way, folks, you know what time it is. You're watching Night Drive Live. Forced induction fabricator, engine management tuner, shop owner. I wanted to start a daily show about everything automotive. You're watching Night Drive Live. So that's right, folks. Oh, we're going to get right into it here. It's a new Monday. I'm going to be airing the show here Monday through Friday this week around this time. I'm going to try 1 p.m. or so Pacific. We're going to kind of target, this time segment. I tried last week. Check out some of those shows that I put out there. Last week we went late at night. So I'm going to kind of dance around a little bit and just see how it feels, if you know what I mean. But we are going to, where should we start? Let's see. I think we should just get right to the Mustang. You may have clicked on that because of that, and so that's where I probably should start. So this rendering came out of the Mustang. Let me pull it back up. Where is it? There it is. And so, yeah, this Mustang rendering came out. I had a viewer request talk about the mid-engine Camaro last week, which you can check out. But essentially, it's like mid-engine mania. I mean, it's people. This was the video that we talked about last week. Feel free to check that out. But yeah, mid-engine mania is upon us. People are like, well, if you're not putting electric motors in it, stick the engine in the back because we don't want it. And if it's not a car, then it's got to be an SUV and crossovers. That's the rage right now. So, mid-engines obviously with Corvette have been talked about since the Zora Duntov days, and Ford has had their place with mid-engine. Obviously, the Ford F40, the Ford GT40, which campaigned at Le Mans and was obviously a very pivotal car in history, has now evolved to the Ford GT because they don't own GT40 specifically under copyright. So they have the Ford GT, but the Ford GT got very expensive, and I think Ford folks felt like, well, we didn't get our mid-engine. We want one. So, somebody did this rendering here. Pretty cool. It is just a rendering, folks. Not very likely. If anything, the Mustang is going to become the Mach-E SUV crossover or something. So we'll see. But cool rendering to the person that made it. I really couldn't find out. But if you're interested in mid-engine Mustangs, not all is lost because, hey, Cole McMeans, what's up, man? So not all is lost because there was a mid-engine Mustang. Actually, it was at SEMA in 2012, if I recall, 2012 or 2013. This is a heck of a project. And let me tell you, this is Eckert's Mustang. and it ended up winning at SEMA that year. So that's how it ended up on the Gran Turismo. It's actually on Gran Turismo 6, I think, and might even be on GT Sport. I can't recall. But I've played them all, quite frankly. But yeah, this is so David Eckert, the Ford Mach 40. This was a heck of a build, and you can Google this. They did kind of a documentary of the entire build, and this was actually pretty well done, to be honest with you. But obviously, the mid-engine thing. I mean, there's merit in mid-engine when it comes to weight distribution, traction off the corner. Obviously, there's a reason a lot of vehicles in motorsport use it. So mid-engine has kind of had. I think more European excitement, but as people like Zora Duntov, who was in the Corvette program, was from Europe, Belgium, if I recall, I think it was. They all wanted that level of balance and things like that, and we're finally seeing it with C8. But with Mustang, Camaro, Challenger, I mean, even I think the new Fast and Furious movie, they have a mid-engine iteration of the Challenger in that. But interestingly, there is some history of a mid-engine Mustang in Ford, and this was from 1969. Check this thing out. This was a mock-up that they did that they believe may still exist. They believe that somebody in Dearborn or around Michigan has this car hidden. They thought it went to the crusher, but apparently it may not have. So this is an actual mid-engine Mustang. It looks pretty tight. Obviously, if you're familiar with the Di Tommaso Pantera, that was in the 70s. That was an Italian-made chassis with a Ford 351, I think it was in it. And so, everybody's wanted mid-engines, but we are in the midst of mid-engine mania, and that's what's going to lead us over to the next story I get into here. Kind of like it, huh? I best get checked. Oh, here you go. Thanks, Lil Lunk, for your advisement there, but throw me a comment, guys, what you think about the mid-engine Mustang. Anybody want one? I mean, any Mustang hater? Obviously, you have Mustang haters, Camaro haters, you have all these. We're very brand dedicated in America here at times, but let me get into I talked briefly about these checkered cabs, and I want to kind of take that out of the way. So basically the deal is, as you may know, SEMA as the big car show, the big show that I go to every year. I love it. Hey, good times. What's up, my man? So, SEMA, you may think is the big car show. It's like where everybody goes to check out the latest and greatest in the aftermarket. Well, SEMA actually does a lot of kind of work with the federal government and the EPA to keep our, car enthusiasts and people who love building vehicles, to keep all this alive for us. And essentially and it kind of relates to me with the company that I used to head up, where we built these mid-engine tube chassis cars that kind of had some flavor from the GT40 packed into them. I actually worked in the company when I came into it to get VIN certification and allow us to actually put VIN numbers on what essentially were kit cars. And this is something that some countries have had exceptions for. If you're a small volume manufacturer, you can put out kind of your own car without having to do crash testing and things like that. So SEMA, essentially, if you look at Factory 5 and things like that, they have things like the this is the DeLorean, but like the Shelby Cobra here, and a lot of companies make these replicas. These are replicas of the originals, and the unfortunate part is they have to make them kits because they can't sell them direct to the public, and not all people are equipped to build something that's complex like an entire car. So that's the company that I headed up. That was our idea, is can we take basically a kit-based platform, and this was actually one of our cars here. It ended up on a Speed Channel in 2010, but can you take a kit-based platform and build it for the customer turnkey, still kind of end up with something that's packaged as an affordable, semi-affordable product? And our target was to build this car for like $100,000 turnkey for the customer. You could do it less on your own and save that labor. We tried to figure out, can we put it all together, build the car to the customer's spec and get it to them for like 100, 125. Now the issue was this was in the downturn, and so we were struggling and battling the economy at that point. But another aspect of it was titling, and once we built this car for somebody, how could we transfer it to them without a VIN? Well, in 2015, Congress passed a bill that essentially allowed for 325 cars to be built if they're replicas, and all they have to do is conform to EPA clean air standards and things like that. But you don't have to crash test. You don't have to do a lot of the things that the big manufacturers do. So, we'll see what happens with that. Basically, SEMA, after waiting since 2015, realized nothing's going to happen. The bill passed, but the NHTSA, the EPA, nobody moved forward with guidelines. So SEMA was forced to file a lawsuit against the NHTSA, and it has now compelled them. And so the reason that I originally showed that photo of the DeLorean is because DeLorean is... when that business went under and John DeLorean got involved in his cocaine deal and all the crazy stuff happened, everything was auctioned off. And so there is a company in Texas that has everything, has all the bodies, the chassis, and can build these DeLoreans. And they wanted to put electric motors in them. They've looked at a lot of different options, but clearly this vehicle would not pass crash standards, certain standards today, pedestrian impact. This car would never become a reality without a law like that replica law. So if you look at this company up, DeLorean Motor Cars Texas, I think is what they're calling themselves now. They're in what looks like Humble, Texas, but is actually Humble. The H is silent, and I know that because I've been around. So basically that is where that's at. So if you're interested in like an old Cobra or something like that, it is a possibility still. We just have to wait for these laws to move forward. So obviously things are happening. Coke makes things go faster. So I got Lil Unk got something to say about that. But yeah, basically, so we can't avoid, if we're going to talk about March 16th, 2020, we can't avoid discussing the impact of basically all the countries trying to make this effort to just keep people from getting this flu. This flu is very severe, so they want to control because it's very contagious. So unfortunately, our big events, the events we all love, are getting a little bit at risk. We saw Sebring get postponed, which happens in late March. They're talking about Long Beach. So unfortunately, the big dog, Le Mans, they're holding off. And so Le Mans said they're going to postpone their decision, but it will come by April 15th. I think they're going to just kind of wait it out and see what's going to happen as far as the development. If we could contain the contagion, because obviously old people are at risk, and we're trying to protect the elderly. They're the ones, if they get it, lots of people have had it that are middle-aged and younger that have gotten through it in a couple days. It's just a very severe flu, but old people, they're very at risk, and especially if they have heart disease, lung disease, and things. So we're trying to protect our elderly here by taking these aggressive measures to just try and keep people from transferring it. So it's good. The quicker we get through it and just focus on keeping our hands clean and all that stuff, hopefully we get to go to Le Mans still, or at least watch it, because I watch it every year. I love Le Mans. It is a fantastic event, and I would be so disappointed to miss a year. But this is my screen. I need to change this screen, but obviously you can see the chat on the screen there. I'm still tweaking my screens, guys. Still working on this live show combination. This is a lot to manage at one time, and so I'm still kind of working on how I want to do this and things like that. So let me look at what we're talking about next here, which is probably, I'm going to get into this picture. And this picture I spoke to you about, I said about this picture. I took this picture in 2010, and I have dog fur. My husky. I have a husky. Fur circulates. Just if you have a husky, just get used to it. But I took this picture in 2010. I was at the LA Auto Show. I had one of the cars that I just showed a little bit ago at the LA Auto Show in Cantia Hall, and I've talked about the LA Auto Show. If you really want to see the startups, the new things going on, you got to go to the LA Auto Show, because that's where they generally debut that stuff. The rich guys bring out their toys, and Lotus was no different. Lotus, in this particular case, I had taken pictures of a lot of different cars there, and this was the Elan, which, are you familiar with the Lotus Elan? No, we haven't seen that. This was the Elise, and you could see they had a pretty big booth. They had quite a number of cars in there. There is the Evora, which the Evora this was 2010. I believe the Evora was out, and obviously next to it was the Exige, but they had a F1 car. This is one of my guys that worked for me. That was our booth. And so let me see what picture I'm going to next here. So essentially, what the news is here is that they are going to finally bring out that car. So what made headlines was that exact same concept car, and so this car has been in Lotus's warehouse somewhere. I just wanted to prove that to you since 2010. And so they are saying that finally, I guess, and clearly we were in the downturn in 2010 to realistically believe that anything was going to happen for 4 or 5 years was not going to be likely. But at this point, they're saying that they are healthy enough that they want to bring back the Lotus Esprit. So as you know, the Lotus, or may not know, the older Lotus Esprit, it was a twin turbo 4-cylinder, then they went to a V8. So they're saying this one is going to kind of cut in half between the Evija and the Evora. And so the Evija we'll talk about in a second, but essentially this is going to have the same V6. They're saying it currently produces 416 in the Evora GT, so they're thinking around 500 horsepower. There's your older Lotus Esprit. Loved that car. When I was young, I loved the Lotus Esprit. I don't know why. It was not hugely popular in the late 80s, early 90s, like supercar world. You had a lot of different things going on. Food and cars talk dirty to me. Right. Yeah, we got a lot of that out in Vegas. Food and cars. It's definitely the city for it. But yeah, the Lotus Esprit will be probably on a comeback. We may see it. I'm just wondering, is this like a repeat of what I saw in 2010? Where they had these concepts, got us all teased, and clearly they have not changed this one bit. That's the exact same car I took a picture of. Let me just show you real quick. Exact same. So did the license plate change? Yeah, they didn't even change the front license plate. so that's what I was kind of intrigued by. Literally the exact same thing. So we'll see here and what happens. But tell me what you think. Oh, well, I did want to talk to you about the Evija. Check out this on their website. They call this car porous. Made to be porous, born to be driven, incredible downforce. This car is going to be a monster. If this thing, and they are saying they are making the final touches on this car. So mid-engine mania again. I mean, people are like, either give me electric, and electrics don't even have anything visible up front. You see these frunks, the front trunks, and speaking of MR2, Lil Unk, I mean, they're even talking about the MR2. I just think you could see the hype train. This is how the hype wagon builds up. You get one mid-engine that makes a bunch of news. People say, man, lots of clicks to the mid-engine C8. Maybe we need some clicks. Like, let's come out with our own, iteration of a mid-engine. And then somebody on Instagram's like, hey, I Photoshop cars. Let me mid-engine Photoshop everything. I'll get lots of clicks. And this is how the snowball effect occurs when a subject starts to generate a lot of action. So clearly mid-engines are cool. I worked on a lot of them. They're tough to work on. From a shade tree mechanic perspective, that's the biggest concern I have with all this. Front engine Camaros, Corvettes, even very easy to work on, very accessible. You get into mid-engines. I've worked on Ferraris. Lil Unk here in the comments worked with me years ago. I threw Lil Unk in the comment section. I threw him on a Ferrari 355 oil change and just said, bro, just figure it out. So it had a dry sump in it, and it's different to work on them. You have to have a lift. I mean, getting on the ground and working on a mid-engine, depending on how some of this stuff I see on C8, they bring the coil packs down low. They try to make things accessible from the bottom. So inevitably, though, they are kind of tough to work on just because you're leaning usually over some wide rear hips to get into the bay where the engine is and things like that. So I don't know. People want a bunch of mid-engines. I think they're pretty cool, but I don't know. A little bit tough from an enthusiast builder standpoint, unless you're pretty tooled up. But yeah, this is going to be the Evija, they say. Check out the rear tunnels. A lot of this airflow management that has really been from Le Mans we're seeing into come into the mainstream, and this is the awesome part of this. And so this is a pretty cool car. I mean, I really hope they come out with this design is it's like organic, but like they said, very porous. Air flows through and around this car, quite a bit. So pretty cool looking. And if you look at the specs on this thing, check out the interior there. If you look at the specs on this thing, I think they're down here. I mean, even cool. Can I just have that? I mean, I'll just take that livery right there. I'll rock the streets with that. I don't know if I have enough yellow and matte black wrap, but I thought sure there was specs on here. Maybe there they go. There they go. 2,000 PS. PS, another horsepower rating that they use in Europe, but 1,680 kilograms, 200 plus miles per hour, 250 miles range, all electric. There it is. We'll see, folks. We'll see. So what do you think about mid-engine? I mean, electric cars. We're getting into all kinds of different things are happening today, folks. And so obviously the C8 is out and about. We've seen some YouTubers getting theirs. And I've already seen a couple drag races, guys. I've seen one between a C8 and a Supra. I've seen one between a C8 and a GT500. And so just take a glance at this. I can't recall. This is from a YouTube channel. Let me put this on Zoom, and hopefully we get away with it. But we could see that this was a GT500 versus Oh, look, I jumped ahead. I'm trying to avoid that. But he goes way early. So a lot of people thought the Corvette was sleeping on the tree. But from this angle, you could see that this Mustang leaves before the yellow light. But he got a green. Never mind. I take that back. You're supposed to launch on yellow. I don't even drag race, and I know that. Always launch on yellow, but in this case, I think this guy was running mid. Let's see what happens here on this. Well, we'll never know. Oh, we got a different view. Let's see here. 1169, the C8 ran, and 1,860 foot. He got an 057 reaction time. He left on that yellow hard. I actually thought he jumped it, but he didn't. So, yeah, we are seeing a lot of mid-engine craze. TJ Hunt's building his C8. You might want to check that out. So that's coming, and lots of interesting things going on in the market out there. But what do we have left here? I swore I had something else. Oh, of course, we have to get into this machine. Look at this thing. So, what's your initial reaction to this photo? Stang mode, GT500. GT500. I saw two GT500s out here in Las Vegas before they were out. They were running them out at the Speedway, doing some different things with them. Cool car. I mean, I'm not a huge Mustang fan, but I will say the current generation, it's a good looking car, great design. Yeah, TJ's doing the twin turbo deal with Sheepy, and Sheepy built goes back to Honda. I mean, how many Honda forced induction guys are out there? Right here, guys, right here. Built forced induction systems on Honda's DSMs, SR20s, and stuff for a lot of years. As the import market tanked, though, in 2009-10, the downturn really changed everything. A lot of these guys resurfaced, and I recall Sheepy. Yeah, but look at the nostrils. I mean, this is I'm like Porsche pig livery belongs on this thing because, I mean, it's almost a face only a mother can love. But interesting, kind of very M8 tail lights. Looks a little awkward from the rear. That 3/4 view, I'm not a huge fan of. Side view, I've just got the fur attacking me. But overall, obviously your BMW quality on the interior there. Lots of good things, but again, the SUV predators of the streets, with angry moms. I mean, they're going to take down my C5 Z06 from the light on the way to the Sam's Club with this thing. So, basically the difference between the X6M and the X5M is that one is you don't need to see that yet, or that. Oh, my bad. Look at this. This is what I have to do, folks, to keep on top of this. But this is the X5M. I like it a lot better. Frankly speaking, if I'm going to buy an SUV, give me an SUV. I'm not sure about the fastback kind of iterations. The AMG one looks pretty cool, but I'm not a huge fan of the design of this BMW. But I think if you're going to give me that, an SUV, give it to me. But as you can see how much this thing costs, this guy can barely afford a good hotel. But essentially, this is a 4.4 liter V8 in these, a twin turbo, 600 horsepower at 6,000 RPM and 553 foot-pounds. They come with like 295s up front, 315s out back on 21s. If you get the competition package, you get 22s in the rear. It is beefy looking. Lilunk. I agree. But it's not you, bro. But yeah, so you get the $2,500 M drivers package, raises top speed from 155 to 177, which BMW is always kind of limited electronically their top speed. So, I mean, I guess if you're on the way to Sam's Club, it's closing. I mean, get the M driver package, you get an extra 20 miles an hour or so. You have that extra edge, you know what I mean? So, driving reviews has shown that the steering feel and feedback evaporates as you corner hard. And it says, but that doesn't slow this thing down. So, here's the deal that I've been talking about with the fast EVs, the big trucks. The new 7,000-pound EV Hummer, 0 to 60 in 1.2 seconds. God help you if you have to stop it. God help you if you're in your old school. Like, I'm a broke guy, I still work at McDonald's. I got my old 2004 Cobalt, and you pull out in front of the Hummer guy doing 0 to 60 in 1.8 seconds or whatever. I mean, I don't know. But these people, here we go. We get this SUV that, not slow by any means. I mean, if you had a sports car at Z06, factory C5 Z06, 0 to 60 in 3.9 seconds, that was incredible. And you're talking about like ideal launch, managing your traction. These are all-wheel drive. This thing goes 0 to 60 in 3.8 seconds. If you add another $9,000 to get the competition package, you could just shave another tenth off of that. Basically, and then you lose your steering feel and all control when you start to turn, apparently. So, I don't know. Price is starting at an affordable $109,000, $118,000 for the competition. So, yeah. And yet again, the fur gets me. My gosh, guys, my gosh. But, I don't know. I just think about, you can buy this SUV for like 118, or you can get like 10 jacked up houses like where I used to live for that money, and you can rent them out. So, I mean, slumlord or BMW X6M driver, I don't know. Got to think about that one. So, got me some toilet paper. Oh, I'm putting together my suit. I got some toilet paper wrapping around my head. I think that's what you're supposed to do. I've been watching the news. I think you wrap the toilet paper around your body. It protects you. So you can give me the money for the toilet paper. It doesn't mean I'm going to find any. So I'm just going to do. I watched, I had a little cat, and after she went to the bathroom, she just kind of dragged herself across the carpet. I'm like, I mean, I don't need the toilet paper. I'm good on the toilet paper. You know what I'm saying? So, so I'm like, somebody posted, obviously people have never been to Mexico where you had to pay 25 cents to use the bathroom and 6 sheets of toilet paper. Ooh, Good Times got whacked. He's getting crazy. He's getting crazy in the comment section. My moderator got him. So I would get a used yacht for that price and enjoy the Bahamas. It's all about the boat. The happiest day of a boat owner's life is the day they buy it and the day they sell it. I mean, so I don't know. Interesting. We're to story time, so let me just segue into full-on story time and put this crazy chat proportion in the background. But I don't know what you said, Good Time. So you're apologizing to the computer. I don't even know, but. Back in the day, I was the manager of a parts store in like 1997 or something like that, 6, in Dallas, Texas. And this guy came in and he had Jimmy Johnson's yacht. Jimmy Johnson, like the coach of the Dallas Cowboys. He ended up buying his yacht. It was like 70 feet long. It had a 454 in it, something like that. And he said, man, I can't get my yacht to go over like 12 knots or something like that. So I ended up telling him, why don't you let me come out? I was young then. And I said, why don't you let me come out and check it out? So yeah, we go out there and ended up being plug wires. Was all it was. They hadn't changed the plug wires on it for years, it looked like. So changed the plug wires out, did plug change, and it was good. So we went out for a run in it, and I got to drive a big 70-foot yacht. It was pretty fun. But yeah, I think you spend more on slip fees and gas and insurance and all that stuff. I don't know. But what else do I have here? I've got more left, guys. I had more planned, but I don't know. Think about the X6M. I'm not sure. These things depreciate quickly. You probably buy one for like 40 grand in 5 years. So let's see here. I did have the after talk, and so the interesting part. The thing I wanted to talk about the. Here we go. Let me mute the sound first, for God's sake. I was looking through my videos, and I came across this one. I was driving through. You don't want to hear me. I think I'm driving through the LA Auto Show. I mean, in a rented Toyota Camry at that. I mean, how fun is that? I mean, it was very interesting. I almost hit many things because it was so tight to get through. But we were looking for a garbage can. I had the Toyota Camry full of garbage. So I was like, let's just drive around the convention center. So, you know, I'm checking those boxes, guys. I'm checking those boxes. That's like what I was trying to do back then. And so pretty fun time. Lace is back. While we're live, she's rolling through the door. You can check out Lace and other videos I have. You know, Lace is in some of them. And so we always try to get out there and shoot Corvette videos and shoot off-road videos. And then I've been doing this daily show. So throw me a sub if you're catching it, guys. I really appreciate it. I'm going to keep on pumping. But yeah, this was the beginning of the show, as I recall. And we were just getting set up. I had a bunch of boxes and materials and things like that. So pretty interesting. But let's talk Corona for a second. And I'm not talking about the beer. Let's talk. So this is what I'm talking about. I send her, she's staring at me. She's staring at me from the left. I mean, you know, it's one thing to sit behind me, but to stare at the side of my head while I'm trying to do the live show. This is what I have to deal with. But let's talk Corona just for a second. I grew up in New Orleans, and, you know, obviously we had hurricanes and all that kind of stuff going on, and Katrina happened. I actually lived in Pennsylvania, but I went down to Katrina because you know, the news obviously made it look it was very bad. It was very bad indeed, but the key is we didn't know how far it had gone outside of inner city New Orleans, where I used to live in inner city New Orleans in the bowl. Even when I was in grade school, they used to say, the ultimate deal can happen. If the hurricane hits the right way, the water goes over the levees, it will flood everything, it will put everything underwater. We had learned about that in school. Well, I'd moved away. My mom, everybody still lived down there. This hurricane hits, and obviously the media, there was limited information and all that kind of stuff, and 702 squad up in the house, bro. What's up, my man? So, so I moved to Pennsylvania, and here you missed the auto show. I'm just kind of blabbing at this point. I just got to go here. I want people to know. Katrina happened. I go down to Katrina. There's no electricity, 2 states, and literally from the top of Mississippi all the way to New Orleans, which is like a 6-hour drive. No electricity, nothing going on. I was trying to get in there. I'm still getting attacked by dog fur. I was trying to get in there and just get to see if my mom and everything was okay. Didn't know if it was flooded, how extensive the damage was. Got down there, got approached by some guys with shotguns and things in the neighborhood, protecting the neighborhoods, things like that. Ended up grabbing my brother, and we left, went back to Pennsylvania because they were out of electricity. My mom stayed. But, you know, 4, 5, 6 weeks, no electricity. The supply chains kept coming. You know, there was still food. There were still limited supplies. It was a little bit more difficult to get some things, but everything got put in place. And, you know, I just think people, the quickest way to get past this is to just hunker down, not spread the flu. I mean, I think I actually got this, to be honest with you. I went to CES 2020. This was the first year that I had gone to CES. I had media access because of this channel, and basically ended up going to CES because, I mean, it's the Consumer Electronics Show. There is a lot of automotive there, and I thought, well, what better time? Let me turn this audio off. What better time to go to CES, you know what I mean, than this year. I live here. I got approved, and it's typically it's a lot of money to get into CES. And you know, I ended up getting in there. It's like $300 or something like that. I ended up getting in and checking out what automotive stuff they had. But as you can see, this was biting. The M bite, and the number of Chinese at this show is a lot. And I mean, a lot. This is probably more Chinese in Las Vegas around CES probably than ever. And I ended up going to the show, and I saw a lot of people with masks on, but that's kind of typical. People in Japan, China, they're very cognizant of, if they're sick, if they even have the most basic sickness, they don't want to infect other people because they feel like it harms the family, and it's just out of respect. But coincidentally, I ended up being sick 2 days after CES, to the extent that if you look on my channel, I didn't upload any videos all January. And so that was the reason. I had plans of doing this big CES video, but if you look at my upload date on my CES video, it was like 2 weeks after CES. And that was the reason. I lost my voice, ended up getting an ear infection. Infection was actually in my eyes. Like, I would wake up in the morning, I have to wipe my eyes, which I've never had. So, I feel fairly confident that I had probably, I mean, it could have been a regular flu, but it was pretty brutal for the regular flu, I guess. But who knows? There were no tests then, so we will never know. But it was coincidence. We'll just say that there were lots of Chinese right by him, and who knows? But the point is, it's just flu. The quicker we contain it, get past it, the quicker it is for, because this is an economic issue more than it is a health issue. Clearly, we want to protect lives, but this is economic. And so I think everybody's in the strain, and the automotive industry is going to take hits from this hugely. This, in some ways, we won't know the impact for some time when it comes to how government's going to back up the automotive industry, the airline industry. Here in Vegas, I mean, I don't know about you, Joe, but I mean, we could probably roll to the strip. It's like empty. I'm going to check it out probably tonight, go out with a camera and stuff like that and just see what it looks like, because it's very rare you get to roll the strip at night with no one around. I mean, that's like, so there is opportunity always in, these types of scenarios, and you have to know that from a media perspective, there's opportunity, but from an investor perspective, there's opportunity here. From a buyer perspective, if you're in a position to buy certain cars, certain things, there's going to be huge incentives, because businesses are going to, they're going to want to move product. So, either way, we'll get through this, folks. And, I talk about Katrina a lot because it was like no lights, no gas. It was crazy. You know what I mean? And, I think in the hardest of times, when you think people are going to freak out, they actually, they look to each other to calm down and things like that. And, as long as everybody keeps their wits about them and just realizes that, what's happening right now is just keeping it from spreading, because we're trying to protect elderly, obviously, from getting this, because it's pretty brutal. If what I got is any indicator, I can see if you're 60, 70 years old, tough. So, real tough. But, inevitably 70, 80,000 people, I think, have now already been past this. There was a case of a woman who was 101 years old that got it, that was fine, after a week and a half or so. So I mean, it's not a death sentence. Clearly, it's the flu. It's a very severe flu from all indicators. So obviously we're just trying to contain it, because you don't want a bunch of people getting sick. So the M buffet was dead Friday night. Yeah, never seen it that empty. I mean, they closed a lot of buffets on the strip. I think the thing with Vegas is you have people that plan their Vegas vacation months ahead of time. So some people obviously are going to want to go anyway. I remember Chi-Chi's. I don't even know if anybody remembers Chi-Chi's, but it was a Mexican restaurant years ago that they had they got some onions that were infected with something, I can't remember, but it actually killed a couple people, as I recall. I don't know. Either way, they got some onions. It messed everybody up. It's what caused Chi-Chi's to go out of business in the United States altogether. But when they reopened, like days later, I went to Chi-Chi's that day. I said, man, this is the cleanest restaurant you're going to get. You know what I mean? So there's like a byproduct. You have to think of the bounce back. And so there's going to be a bounce back once we get past it. And you're going to see a huge bounce in the economy. You're going to see a huge bounce in things. But, the mass of people out shopping. Lace was just out shopping. And, it's like there's so much spending going on. In some ways, some businesses are going to profit massively from this. I mean, but the health of the supply chain is there. The food is there. Truckers are still driving. Just do your part, folks, and just if you get sick, get some medicine, get past it. Don't give it to your friends, family, whatever. But I can't talk. No, it's all good, folks. But I'm going to continue the show. I went a little off. I really don't want to talk about this, to be honest with you, and I'm not going to on the show. It's just not my intent. I love talking about cars, but the news is limited. Everything is dominating. Click-wise, everybody wants to talk about it to get clicks. I'm not going to do that. I don't get any clicks anyway. Yeah, Mid-Engine Mania. Let me know what you think. If you made it this far in the video, jump back, check it out. This week, I'm going to do this time frame between like 1 and 2 p.m. Pacific. I'm going to test out a bunch of different times. In the meantime, folks, just stay safe, stay clean. Keep your hands clean. Watch what you touch. Don't touch your face. Typical stuff. Social distancing. We went out to... let me show you. Before I go, if anybody's watching, I just got to show it to you because I'm not going to make a video out of it. I'll be honest with you, but I just want to show somebody, right? We went out to, we did our part with social distancing last night, and we went out, man, to Burrow Wash, a big off-road deal, and I'm trying to think which one is even worth showing you. Here's Lace out here. That's a little widescreenish, but this is not color graded. This is just straight out of the GoPro, but we came down this wash right here. This took like 3 hours out, 3 hours back. We took this wash. This is me kind of flying around FPV. It was very windy. This is the Colorado River here over to this area here, but man, if you're gonna social distance, do it right. You know what I'm saying? Like go on a vacation, go out into a middle of nowhere and go camping or something. I mean, just an awesome time to go check some things out. And so this is me flying the FPV drone. This is stabilized with real steady go. I didn't want to chop Lace's head off right here. I dove at her. But yeah, man, this is an awesome just get out there and check things out. Here's how it comes off the vehicle. Great areas in the mountains and stuff like that. FPV is super awesome. Toilet paper stocks, they're going to be skyrocketing. They were invest in something else besides toilet paper. They already got us. But yeah, these are washes. So these areas here, if you're not familiar with the West, these are like washes where water, when it does rain, the ground doesn't absorb much water. You get these washes to where the water heads back out. And yeah, awesome place. But yeah, I did have one more thing. This guy is going to have a great time self-quarantining because you're going to see something awesome right here. This guy built this simulator. Now, we all know about flight sims, but this dude took it to a whole new level. I mean, 360 degrees. And he's VR, so he's looking around. If you look on the screen here, I mean, he's full VR. But check out this side shot. Where's it at? Look at this. I mean, this dude, and he's wearing a helmet, and I'm like, you need to be wearing a helmet. Like, hopefully that dude's welder sound, but you can see a little bit of weight flop to it. But I mean, full inverted. I mean, come on. Like, this dude's like, bring on the quarantine. I'm good. I'm gonna go flying. But you can see there's a little bit of weight flop to it. He may need to balance out the rig a little bit better. But yeah, he does full rolls and stuff like that. I mean, pretty awesome. Like, even as a car simulator, I mean, like bank turns, like you get into NASCAR sims and stuff. I mean, you get a lot of angle or something like that, but pretty awesome rig. So I'm like, some people are about to quarantine. They're like, I'm good. I'm good to go. And this guy's definitely one of them. Like, he is having no problems whatsoever. So, yeah, folks, that's about it. Hope you appreciated the show. I don't know. I'm going to keep working on it. I'm probably going to change the backgrounds, do some things, get into some more car stuff. Want to get out there and fix my Z06. I'm just I'm not doing it, but I'm close. I have to get it running again. I mean, good times, it's cheap. I mean, I'll tell you that much. It's cheap to travel. I mean, yeah, I was looking at ticket prices to go, from Las Vegas to New Orleans, like $30, but I think the concern is people are a little worried about traveling somewhere and then there being a domestic flight restriction or something like that and not being able to get back. That was the only concern I had. So, Mafia X, thank you, man. Stay safe, bro. I'm going to keep doing the show. Catch me on another one. And so, yeah, guys, if you're watching this video, I trim these back. After I upload these, basically I trim these back. So in about 6 hours, the video is shorter. It doesn't include a lot of the chat. I'm still working on the format here and stuff like that. I'm trying to action pack the front and then slowly let the conversation evolve as people are viewing and things like that. And obviously we're gonna gain viewers as time goes on, I think. So thanks for being a part of the show, guys. I've seen a couple of you folks on a recurring basis, so that's pretty awesome, and I hope you appreciate the information I can gather. And if you have any automotive questions, or you ever want to have talks, suggestions, anything like that, we can get into it all. We can talk about anything. We can talk about turbos, tuning, anything that I've experienced that we can get into. But Joe, thank you, man. See you on the next one. See you again. And that's about it, folks. So I'm going to head out and prep for the show tomorrow. So you can get back with me. Good Times did it again. He did it again. I don't know what you're saying. He's saying something. Woo! He's talking about Bernie Sanders over there. I don't know what you're saying, but it ain't good. Look what it says. Some words purged automatically by the system. Just the rules of the game. So I don't know. You have to email me. So, all right, guys. See you on the next one. This was Night Drive Live. Second week in a row. Still rumbling. I'll catch you again, guys. Have a good one. And that's supposed to be my end screen. It didn't work.